First of all, thank you very much for coming today. We really appreciate it. We have a very nice program here. We want to thank everybody for their hospitality at the location. First up, though, we're going to have an invocation by Bill Richardson, the Huntington Beach Marine Safety Chaplain. Mr. Richardson, if you would, please.
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the first responders, first of all, that were evident in their ability to see what was going on and to make a response. They given life-saving, a position of significance in the community for a long, long time. Since 1928, we've had lifeguards on our beach. We've had the Belshies and the Higgins and the Morehouses, the Bowmans, and so many people that have made a difference in the community in our life. Father, we thank you for the lives that they have saved, literally hundreds of thousands of people through the Huntington Beach Life Saving Association and the lifeguards here, state and city. And Father, today we come to you and we thank you for the community interest in this situation that occurred so many years ago, 72 years ago today. Horrific tragedy, Father. We don't understand why things like that happen. But we thank you that the lifeguards were able to save so many and were able to provide safety service to those who needed it in a time of need. And I ask you to bless our time together. Allow us to make it a joyous moment, not just a sad moment, but to remember those who have passed, certainly with dignity, and honor them, and to thank the lifeguards for the work that they've done. And we ask you to continue to bless them as they work in our community. Keep them safe, we pray, Lord, as they are willing to risk their lives to save others. In our time together, in your presence, we pray. Give us your grace and your love. And we ask it in your blessed name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Okay, my name is Chris Epting. I'm a local author and historian and big fan of Huntington Beach history. And before we get going into the story of why we're here, I want to quickly acknowledge representatives from the office of Michelle Steele. Timothy Whitaker, where are you? Thank you for being here. Michelle Schutz from Travis Allen, Assemblyman Travis Allen's office, thank you. Constance Towers, District Rep from Dana Rohrabacher's office. Thank you very much, Constance. We have other city officials here, Councilwoman Barbara Del Glaze, Mayor Jim Katapotis, Councilman Billy O'Connell, Councilwoman Jill Hardy in the back there. Thank you all for coming. We can hear from you. And I'm sorry, my good friend, Councilman Mike Posey. Some will be speaking today, but a little bit about why we're here today. In 1943, I mean, to the day, June 27th, we would have been sitting here actually around this time. You might have heard a P-38 cruise overhead. And that plane, there was nobody in that plane. It was unmanned. The pilot had ditched a few minutes earlier. The plane would have rushed out to the ocean here. In an incalculable natural tragedy, the winds kind of turned it around, pushed it back, and it crashed on the beach right across the street from where we are today. Last October, a woman named Maria Young, Maria, where are you? In the back there. Maria reached out to me and she said, Chris, we need some help. Maybe you can help guide us. The year before, I had been involved in placing a plaque at the Huntington Beach Pier in honor of Robin Samsoe. I like this idea of marking history. And she told me all about what happened, about this accident. She described to me her mother, Vera Silver, who was 10 years old that day back in 1943. Vera didn't come to the beach that day with her family. Her family, the Silvas, and their family friends, the Borregas, all came out for what millions of people have do here for a relaxing day at the beach. They came to the beach, but Vera stayed back to be with her grandmother who was blind, and they were very close, and she was tending to her that day. Well, the families never made it home that day, and the police finally came to the house. The grandmother was very concerned, and they came and they told what had happened. And that day, Vera lost her two sisters. The Borregas lost two children. Vera's other two siblings were terribly injured, as were her parents. And this stood as one of the real deep, dark tragedies in our city's history, but it was also kind of triumphant. As you mentioned, the first responders off the pier that day were lifeguards. Bud Higgins himself, the legendary Bud Higgins, led lifeguards here, and right across the street, came and helped rescue bodies and really, I think, saved lives that day. This to me was a very important story. We went to City Council about a week or two later and kind of made our plea to have this marker created, which I want to thank City Council. If you don't know, these kinds of things can take years, and here we are, just months later after our plea, and thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts collectively. What happened though, when Maria first contacted me, is I didn't know a lot about this story. Our city historian, Jerry Person, where are you, Jerry? Right here. Jerry wrote about this in 2004. I knew a lot about it. But I reached out to a friend of mine named Pat Maka. Pat, if you've never heard of him, is a legend in his own right. Pat is a good friend of mine. Pat's mission in life is to locate where warplanes have crashed for the sole purpose of leading families back to the crash sites so they can make peace with that site. And I've been on a mission with him before where he brought family members back. I wrote about it. It's a remarkable thing that he does. Pat, would you please just make yourself known, raise your hand, and tell us who you brought with you today in terms of war heroes.
Thank you, Chris. It's my honor to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Ted Tanner, a member of the Old Bowl Pilots of Huntington Beach. World War II combat veteran, Southwest Pacific flew the Douglas A-20 Havoc. Next to him is Enrico Bottieri, United States Army Air Force Second Lieutenant. U.S. Training Command in World War II.
Thank you, Pat. And thank you, gentlemen, for your service. I contacted Pat within minutes. I had an email back, not just with knowledge of the crash, the accident report, and full details. That's what Pat does. Pat is remarkable. In fact, a friend of mine, Donnie Olson, is here today. Coincidentally, Donnie's dad tragically passed in an airplane crash back in the early 60s. He's working with Pat right now to locate that site. So thank you for being here today too, Donnie. So anyway, with that information from Pat, Maria and I got together in this very room with her family, and Vera came. And what was really, I get goosebumps thinking about this. We sat right here and we're talking, and Vera, I said, where did the crash take place? Their thought was that it had been down close to Newport, a couple of miles down PCH. And I said, well, I reached out to my friend Pat Maka, and he described that we're actually sitting right across the street from it. They didn't know that. And you get choked up thinking about it, because they realize Maria lives here. And the fact that they've been here all that time directly across the street was something so poignant and so profound. So anyhow, I learned more about Vera that day, and just how she grew up tending to her parents, tending to her injured siblings. They died too early from life from injuries suffered as a result of the accident. But she's such a remarkable woman. And so we got together at City Council, as I said that night, really for Vera, so she could be here, so she could be part of this experience. And we're going to have a couple of speakers now. First up is Mark Berlin, Huntington Beach Marine Safety Lieutenant. Mark, are you here? And if you could, please come up and thank you. Mike, I'm sorry, not Mark. Mike Berlin, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thanks, Chris.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So, thank you for having us today. Lifeguards go to work every day expecting to encounter sun, sand, and surf, but they never know for sure exactly what they will encounter, because as we know, each day is different. I've experienced river rescues, riots, oil spills, a pier collapsing, and a bank robbery suspect fleeing into the ocean in my 34 years. But I can assure you that nobody, let alone the Huntington Beach lifeguards, expected to go to work and encounter a plane crash. That is why we train. To prepare for the expected and to build a foundation so we can respond to the unexpected. On June 27, 1943, no one could have imagined that a P-38 was going to crash on the shores of Surf City, USA. Fortunately, the lifeguards on duty were able to respond and assist in the care of the survivors. Tragically, they could not save everyone. We too mourn the loss of loved ones on that fateful summer afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mike. Next, I'd like to invite Mayor Jim Katapotis to say a few words. If you would, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Well, welcome everybody to this ceremony. It's great to have history of Huntington Beach, but it also is solemn in the plaque that we're presenting today. It's probably one of the few times I see so many council members in the same place at the same time. You know, we're only allowed to be together 3 of us at a time, otherwise we get in trouble. But this is so significant and so important, there's actually 5 of us here today. So it just shows you the support that we're giving to this plaque, and we're just so, we're happy here. We're happy to be here, but we're humbled by the whole experience, and it's very exciting to have World War II veterans here to witness this as well. I'm very moved by having you guys here because it's a big part of my life too. So thank you all for being here, and thank you so much too. I'm going to get this right because I have to put my glasses on. The Shore LP and Advanced Real Estate Services for donating the plaque. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
I want to acknowledge City Manager Fred Wilson is here too. Welcome, Fred. Julie Toledo and Janine Laudenbach. These women have done so much for projects like this. They work so hard for their city. Thank you very much, ladies. And next up, I'd like to call Councilwoman Barbara Del Glaze.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm so grateful so many of you are here. It's a special event. I know it was a sad event, but I've got to say, after Chris bringing the story to us at City Council, it really ended up being, wow, how can we dig deeper and figure out a way to really honor the people? And I had the good fortune of, after the event was approved that we could do this, I ended up having lunch with Maria. Maria, where are you again? Okay. Anyway, Maria was able to tell me the story of her family, and it was so moving. And the world really is so small. You just never know who you're going to meet and end up having to call upon. Through our community services, Janine and a few others tried to go to the state and see if we could possibly get a memorial on the state beach a little closer. And they weren't too excited about doing that. As a matter of fact, they said no. So that's okay. I had the good fortune of my paths crossing with Rick and Paul Julian. And through talking to Janine, I was encouraged to give them a call. And I tell you the story because I really want to acknowledge the 2 of you for being so generous, not only with your spirit of wanting to do something, but to have Maria living here and then having be able to have the plaque here. We're really very grateful that you were not only willing, but you really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you really took the spirit. And I'm sure Vera and your family are very happy. So I just wanted to say it was just meant to be. There was a thread there that kind of brought it full circle. And I'm grateful that we all could gather tonight to remember. Thank you.
And Councilman Billy O'Connell, would you please give us a few of your pearls?
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening and in memory of those who lost their lives on that sad day. When I look at this flag, it means a lot to me. It means freedom. It means hope. As a person who has been in war zones, I can tell you war is terrible. And for those men and women back there that have served our country, I want to say thank you. Because it's people like you that have given me the opportunity to be up here. And for those family members that have lost loved ones in the service of our great country, I say thank you. And we will always be here for you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
To that end, too, if you don't know, or you probably wouldn't know, every Tuesday, Pat? Every Tuesday morning at the Denny's at the corner of Beach and Ellis, there's a meeting of the old bold pilots, right? And these classic, these amazing heroes meet every single Tuesday. I've been there a couple of times. It's a remarkable meeting. My son joined me one morning there too, and there's going to be, I guess, another plaque going into that room where you all meet pretty soon. It's the 50th anniversary of the Denny's this year, and the owner is actually commemorating their meetings with a sign in there. So a lot of good things happening this year to commemorate these great men and women and all that they've done for us. Last but not least, Maria Young, would you come up here? Oh, I'm sorry. Maria, come on up. I jumped the gun though. Paul and Richard Julian, would you please say a couple of words? You know, it's something, this event is about families, and to have a father and son that stepped up with their generosity and all that you've done. You guys, thank you so much. We would not be in this room today were it not for you. So thank you for these guys. Well, they'll explain it, but this plaque is here because of them. They paid for it. They've taken care of where it's going to finally sit. And you guys, again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much. How you doing, right?
Well, first of all, when Barbara called and said, I have this cause, and explained what it was, I said, that really does sound like a great cause, and sure, we'll try to find a place to put it in here. When I spoke to my partners, the Mills Group, who've actually had this property since the 1800s, they said, absolutely. And then we found out that Maria lives in the property. So, like everyone who lives here, we consider you like friends and family. So if you have friends and family, you go above and beyond. It became a mission. So we were very proud to be asked, and we're very proud to pay our little share in this commemoration. Hopefully, by the way, I'll take a little plug here since we have all these council members. We're planning on working with the city and the Coastal Commission, who already taken a first step, to try to sponsor a visitor center on the corner out here on our property. And if this comes to place, we think that should be moved front and center at that site. So, thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Can we vote on that right now? There's enough in the room to probably make that happen. Last but not least, Maria Young. Maria, when you first reached out to me, we spoke on the phone. We met her a few days later. It's an honor to get to know your family. Again, this to me really is about families, the Macas and you guys and your family. It really is. This is the best that Huntington Beach has to offer, I think. Everybody in this room today, this is the spirit of the city, what's happening today. Would you like to give us a few words about you and your mom and your family?
I don't know how to sum it up, except wow, when I see all these faces in this room. And I just want to tell you thank you for all the support and the, go-getter Marias that got me through this. And Barbara, you said the state said no. I hear a challenge. So maybe we can take it a little step further. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't finish. I'd like to know the family of the pilot that flew, because I want that pilot must have felt terrible for what happened that day. And I wish he had been around so we could say there's no blame. It was an accident. We forgive you. There was nothing that could have been done. And I'm just so happy that this memorial's here, because I wanted to give my mom closure. My mom is my hero.
Marie, would you come up here? Let's have your mom come up. Vera should be up here, I think, when you say this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is Vera Silva.
Mendez.
Mendez.
Vera Silva Mendez.
Mendez.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I try not to cry, but times like this, I can't help it. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, honey, for doing all the work. And you too, sweetheart. You did so much work for us. Thank you.
So when this accident happened, it wasn't spoken about until I got married on the beach, and my mom was uncomfortable with the whole thought of me getting married on the beach, and I didn't understand that. And so little by little, the story came out, and that's how we are today. And I want this to be a time where she feels okay to talk about it, and knowing that when this plaque is there, people will know your sisters and know the Borregos and know that they're not forgotten, and that our generations after us will remember them forever. And I really thank everyone. I thank the Julians for everything, and our council, absolutely, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.